They said the screams could be heard for miles. Summer 1462. You are an Ottoman soldier in the most powerful army on earth. Constantinople has fallen. Kingdoms have collapsed before you. You are marching into a small, insignificant principality called Wallachia to punish a defiant ruler. It should be routine, weeks at most. Then the smell reaches you. Rot, decay, something sweet and unbearable. Your column slows. Scouts stop talking. And as you crest a low hill near the capital, you finally see it. A forest. Except the trees are human. Thousands of bodies rise from the ground on wooden stakes, arranged in precise rows that stretch to the horizon. Some are blackened and swollen from weeks in the sun. Others are still alive, still breathing, still screaming. Your Sultan Mehmed II, conqueror of Constantinople, looks once and orders the army to turn back. This was not madness, it was strategy. And the story you think you know about Vlad the Impaler is incomplete, not because the horrors were exaggerated, but because the truth is far more disturbing. This is the story of how one man weaponized fear so effectively that he stopped an empire without winning a single decisive battle. To understand how this happened, you have to begin with a boy. In 1442, Vlad was 11 years old. His father, Vlad II Dracul, ruled Wallachia, a fragile state trapped between the Kingdom of Hungary and the expanding Ottoman Empire. To keep his throne, Vlad II made a deal with Sultan Murad II. He would remain loyal. In exchange, he would hand over his two youngest sons as hostages. Vlad and his brother Radu were taken deep into Ottoman territory. They were not thrown into dungeons. They lived in palaces. They were educated alongside Ottoman elites. They learned languages, philosophy, military discipline, and religion. On paper, it looked like privilege. In reality, it was psychological captivity. For years, Vlad watched how the Ottomans ruled. He saw public executions designed not just to punish individuals, but to terrify entire populations. He learned that fear was not a byproduct of power, it was the foundation of it. And he learned something else. He was completely powerless. While Radu adapted and even formed close relationships within the court, Vlad resisted. Ottoman records describe him as defiant and difficult. Punishments followed. The exact details are unclear, but it is certain that violence and humiliation shaped his adolescence. Something hardened during those years. Not madness, but focus. He memorized what he saw, the methods, the reactions, the way terror traveled faster than armies. In 1448, Vlad returned to Wallachia. Within months, his father was assassinated by rival nobles. His older brother was buried alive. Vlad was 17, alone and surrounded by enemies. This is where the story turns. Vlad did not just want revenge, he wanted control. Absolute, irreversible control. And he knew exactly how to achieve it. After years of exile and political maneuvering, Vlad seized the Wallachian throne in 1456. His first major act was not a war, it was a feast. He invited the boyars, the nobles who had betrayed his family, to a grand banquet. Wine flowed, music played. Then Vlad asked a question. How many rulers have you lived under? They answered proudly. 10, 12, more. They were boasting about their survival. Vlad smiled. Then he ordered their arrest. The older nobles were impaled immediately outside the city, slowly, deliberately. The younger and stronger were marched north to rebuild a ruined fortress by hand. Most died from exhaustion. The survivors were broken. In one stroke, Vlad erased the old power structure. This was not rage. It was governance through terror. Then he turned outward. In 1459, Sultan Mehmed II demanded tribute and summoned Vlad to Constantinople to renew his oath. Ottoman envoys arrived, confident and unafraid. They refused to remove their turbans, a religious custom. Vlad listened politely. Then he ordered the turbans nailed to their skulls. Not killed, mutilated, alive. They were sent back as living messages. War was now inevitable. But Vlad did not fight wars conventionally. He fought minds. Impalement was not random cruelty, it was engineering. The stake was rounded, oiled, inserted at an angle designed to avoid vital organs. Victims could remain alive for days. Their suffering was prolonged, public, and impossible to ignore. Vlad staged these executions along roads, outside cities, in places designed for maximum visibility. Rank determined height, peasants low, nobles higher, commanders highest of all. Fear was organized. By 1462, Vlad had crossed the Danube repeatedly, raiding Ottoman territory. He claimed to have killed over 20,000 people. Mehmed II responded by assembling an army of staggering size, at least 60,000 men. This was meant to be annihilation. Vlad refused to meet them in battle. Villages were evacuated, wells poisoned, fields burned, livestock removed. The Ottomans marched into emptiness. Then the night attacks began. Small units struck camps after dark. Fires, assassinations, chaos, then silence. The goal was not victory, it was exhaustion. On June 17, 1462, Vlad launched his greatest gamble. Disguised as Ottoman soldiers, his men infiltrated the enemy camp, aiming directly for the Sultan. They came terrifyingly close. Mehmed survived, but the message was clear. No one was safe. Days later, the Ottomans approached Targovishte. That was when they saw it. The forest. Tens of thousands of impaled bodies arranged in geometric patterns, some dead for weeks, some still alive. The air was thick with decay. Veterans vomited, soldiers deserted. At the center stood the impaled corpse of a high-ranking Ottoman commander, positioned to face the Sultan's approach. Mehmed II stopped, stared, and ordered retreat, not because he was defeated militarily, but because he was facing something that conventional power could not overcome. Vlad had won, briefly, because terror is never stable. Vlad continued ruling through fear. Merchants, nobles, villages, all suffered. Allies withdrew support. His brother Radu, backed by the Ottomans, positioned himself as an alternative. By the end of 1462, Vlad was overthrown and imprisoned by his former allies. He spent 12 years in captivity. He returned to the throne briefly in 1476. Weeks later, he was dead. His head was sent to Constantinople. The man who weaponized terror became a trophy of the empire he defied. So what is Vlad the Impaler? A monster? A hero? A madman? Or something far more uncomfortable? He was human, shaped by systems that taught him fear was power, that mercy was weakness, that survival required absolute cruelty. And the most disturbing truth of all, it worked. Against impossible odds, terror stopped an empire. And that is why his story still matters. Not because of what he did to bodies, but because of what he proved about the human mind.